2022. I call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Daney?
Here.
Gansey?
Here.
Gunstein?
Here.
Hopkins?
Here.
Ranky?
Present.
Sawanski? Here. President Wallace?
Present. We've requested Father Kurt Lambert of St. Peter Damian Catholic Church do our invocation this evening. Father?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I'm not sure how many of our churches, but I know ours, the Peter Damian, starting Lent tomorrow, Ash Wednesday. Maybe some of you are going to be doing that. And I thought, in lieu of all the stuff that's happening with the pandemic and Russia and Ukraine and all those other kinds of things, I think it's good to pause and to recenter ourselves, because we've been through a lot. The world's been through a lot lately. And so I would like to share a reflection tonight that kind of centers ourselves back on God and encourages us to have hope and to lead us forward with that idea of hope. And so I'm taking a reflection from a woman by the name of Evelyn Underhill, who she was a novelist, a poet, and a mystic of the early 20th century. God never says enough. God never says, your timing's bad, I'm tired, come back when I'm not so busy with other more important things, other more important people, I've moved on. Above all, God never dismisses us as hopeless cases, unworthy of further attention. God is always coming, always entering to refresh and strengthen our lives. God is always with us, giving hope, sustaining hope, building our hope. No one is more important. No one has greater claim on God's gifts than we do. But we must make room for hope. We must keep the entryway open. It cannot find its way into souls determined to give up, determined to insist that life is too much, no one cares, not even God. The creative life of God, the source of hope, is not there just for the asking. It is just ours for the accepting. Let us pray. God, you are always coming, always entering our hearts and souls. You are always approaching to refresh and enhance our life. We need give you only the slightest opening, and you take advantage of it. You are our hope. Not there just for the asking, but ours just for the accepting. We ask that you hear our prayer, hear the hope, this people, our country, and our world. Give us life to our hope. Pray this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Father.
Great evening. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Brings us to our consent agenda this evening. All items listed on the agenda with an asterisk will be enacted in one motion, no separate discussion around those items. That being said, does anyone see anything they would like to add or remove the consent? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent, which will include the minutes from board and committee minutes February 15, 2022. This consent will also include bills list from March 1, 2022. The consent this evening will also include item A1, B1, D1, and E1 under Standing Committee reports.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Sawanski. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Gunstein?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Swansky.
Yes.
Daney.
Yes.
Gansey.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next item, Treasurer's Report, which there is none. I just thought before the Fire Protection District and the Public Works Recognition Proclamation, we would, as you might notice, some of us are wearing blue and yellow, and we did that on purpose this evening to honor those fallen in Ukraine. So if we could just have a moment of silence for what's going on in that country. Thank you. Brings us to the reason why most everybody's here this evening, our President's Report for the Bartlett Fire Protection District and Public Works Reclamation Proclamation. So, let's go here.
Got it.
And I do have these in two separate proclamations. Oh, you just... Timing is everything. Yes. I couldn't read any faster, I'm sorry.
Oh, boy.
So we'll do the fire district. I don't think we're going to have any emergencies with Public Works, but although we have had quite a few water mains. A proclamation recognizing the Bartlett Fire Protection District and Bartlett Public Works crews for ongoing, for going above and beyond battling a massive warehouse fire. Whereas the fire at a 250,000 square foot document storage facility on Humbrock Circle in Brewster Creek Business Park began at approximately 10 a.m. on Thursday, February 3, when a few boxes reportedly ignited. And whereas the warehouse was stacked floor to ceiling with boxes of documents that provided substantial fuel for the fire, it escalated quickly and burned for 6 days after tumbling storage racks blew firefighters off their feet, took out the sprinkler system, and seriously compromised the structural integrity of the building. And whereas a rotation of about 40 firefighters at a time worked around the clock during the multi-day fire, battling not only the blaze, but single-digit temperatures that caused pumps, water lines, and surrounding ground to freeze. And whereas indomitable Bartlett Fire Chief William Gabrenia said, he has never experienced anything like what his agency dealt with that week and remains grateful, as we all do, that no injuries occurred, adding also that a lot of people really stepped up, including dozens of neighboring fire departments that assisted with equipment and personnel and community members who dropped off food and beverages. And whereas the fire district received invaluable assistance with traffic direction, equipment, lighting, and setting up portable toilets and warming tents from Hanover Township Emergency Services, Bartlett Public Works, and Police. PW crews deserve a special loud shout out for helping to maintain vital water levels when the fire district at times was using an estimated 2,000 to 3,000 gallons per minute. And whereas all of these remarkable first responders did not just meet their responsibilities during this municipal emergency, they far exceeded expectations, overcoming challenging conditions, risking their own health and safety, and working without pause to ensure the safety and well-being of our community. Now, therefore, I, Kevin Wallace, President of the Village of Bartlett, Cook, DuPage, and Kane counties, do hereby call upon all Bartlett citizens to recognize and honor the Bartlett Fire Protection District and everyone who supported them during this critical event, and to furthermore extend our immense gratitude to each and every one of these heroic and selfless individuals, dated this first day of March 2022. Maybe we can do a picture.
You want us all out front or back here? All right.
Again, for the professionalism, for everything we've mentioned. Hey, you got the floor. You can do whatever you want. After that work, you can do whatever you want. We'll probably take a picture with Public Works real quick, too. Maybe at the end.
I just wanted to thank all of them for amazing staff for an incredible incident and collaboration. For everything from the police department that came out there several times every day and let us use their command, which was very helpful. Public Works was out there several times. I think the water department called me probably 6 or 7 times every day. So we can keep an eye on how the water is going. Public Works was out there helping us fuel up our fire trucks. That printed out. Will help us, the building department next to us. Under control.
Thank you, Chief.
Mayor Wallace, Village Trustees, Village Administrator Schumacher, Chief Ulrich, Director Dingus. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and everyone at the Bartlett Fire Protection District, thank you for the kind words regarding the excess fire. They are appreciated. As you know, serving one's community is rewarding, but at times can be a challenge. I am proud to say that with the help of the village, the police department, Public Works, Hanover Township Emergency Services, all the outside fire departments, and the numerous relief agencies, we endured this challenge and we won. Chief Ulrich, Director Dingus, please know how grateful we are for all of your people and for all of their support. I saw firsthand and I heard numerous times from Chief Cabrera how the PD and the Public Works were there for us. It will take a couple of months to gather all the data on this fire, but once we do, I'm sure we'll share it with you. Kevin and I have talked about how many gallons of water and, a few other things, but I think we can safely say this is the most significant fire in the district's history, both from a size, duration, and also an agency involvement perspective. Quite frankly, I think we all hope that it is a record that is never broken. I think there are 3 important takeaways from this event. No one was hurt. Training is vitally important, and interagency cooperation lends itself to more successful outcomes. Thank you again.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. That concludes the President's report. So next we have, on my agenda, I think I left it over there. Anybody have any questions for staff?
I have a couple things. Mr. President, I can get organized here. I've only been here long enough. I think what we'll do is start with, I'd like to just make an announcement for March anniversaries. We have Laura Stovanovich. She's Assistant Event Coordinator at Bartlett Hills. She has 3 years. And we have present this evening, and the only reason he came this evening is because he knew I was going to announce his anniversary. It's our head golf professional at Bartlett Hills, Phil Lentz. So congratulations on your anniversaries. And then I'd like to just talk about some birthdays. We have Janelle Terrence, who's our Human Resources Director.
She's here.
I don't see you. Oh, you're hiding in the back over there. Happy birthday. And then we have Scott Strickey, who's our Assistant Village Administrator. and Scott is here. I see him out there. Scott's here all the time. Then we have Jim Durbin, our deputy chief. And is he, oh, there, another one hiding in the back. You guys like the seats in the back, huh? I only do that when I go to church. And then our village trustee, Stephanie Gansey. So, want to wish you all happy anniversary and happy birthday. I thought Phil had a birthday in here too, didn't you?
You can throw it in. Nobody will know the difference. Probably Phil's third birthday of the year.
Yeah, then I have one, then I have another thing. I'd like to, take a moment here to recognize, Bartlett Hills. For the fourth straight year in a row, Bartlett Hills will receive the prestigious The Best of Wedding Knot Award. That's the fourth straight year. This award is recognized by Knot.com as an accomplishment of excellence in the wedding industry. This is only achieved by receiving 10-plus reviews a year of over 4 stars. They have also maintained our status in the Knot Hall of Fame as well, with more than 3 consecutive award wins. So congratulations to Bartlett Hills. And I would just like to take a moment and say the staff out there that's responsible for this is Paul Peterson, our food and beverage manager, Evan Blood, our event coordinator, Laura, who had an anniversary, Stovanovich, who's our assistant coordinator, and Dustin Brooks, our head chef. So congratulations to Bartlett Hills.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's all I have right now.
Thank you, Trustee Danny.
More later.
I would just like to thank Bill Johnson in Public Works for taking me in the snowplow one night. Not only has it been a dream of mine to go in a snowplow, but he answered a lot of questions. It was wonderful to see the coordination that we have in our village to keep our roads safe after a snowstorm.
Did you get a drive?
I did not.
Oh, what fun is that? You could have taken out the mailboxes.
Oh. I'll tell you a story about that later.
Thank you, Trustee Gansey. Anything else?
Better off later. Later.
This is a budget, and I remember people.
I know.
Moving on to town hall portion of the meeting. This part of the meeting, anyone who'd like to address the board, please step up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. Anybody in the room here want to address the board? Is it Chris on there? Chris, anyone online like to address the board?
No, sir, no one is indicating they want to.
Thank you, Chris. All right, moving on to standing committee reports. First standing committee report is Building and Zoning, Chairman Hopkins.
Thank you, President Wallace. Item A1 was covered under the consent agenda tonight, and that's all we have.
Thank you, Chairman Hopkins. Community and Economic Development Committee, Chairman Gansey.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our one item was covered under consent tonight.
Thank you, Chairman Gansey. Finance and Golf, Chairman Daney.
We have one item. And the reason we didn't have any town hall session, there was a rumor going around that this was a budget meeting. Nobody wanted to sit through the budget meeting, so they didn't come out. We have one item on the agenda this evening. That's a resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement forming the Stop CPKC Coalition, ensuring costs to represent the common interests of the parties related to the merger with the Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern Railroads. This is a... let me find my notes here. The Canadian Pacific Railroad, CP, and the Kansas City Southern Railroads, KCS, have filed an application with the Surface Transportation Board, the STB, seeking authorization for a merger. CP and KCS are both Class 1 railroads, which are the largest freight railroads. This merger is considered an end-to-end merger because their networks do not overlap, and the joining of the railroads would create a single railroad connection between Canada and Mexico. It's estimated that if this merger were approved, freight traffic on the Milwaukee District West rail line would increase by more than 300% in the first 3 years. For Bartlett, that would mean an additional 8 freight trains per day. As you know, we had meetings with representatives from CP and jointly with the other impacted communities. In those meetings, we have raised our concerns regarding the increase to noise, vibration that the trains will cause, the increased safety concerns relative to additional train traffic and hazardous material transportation, emergency response impact, interference with commuter access, and our TOD development plans in our downtown. The communities along the Milwaukee District West Rail Line have joined together in a coalition, the Stop CPKC Coalition, to prevent this merger as proposed and represent our common interests regarding the merger pending before the STB. The agreement before the board for consideration is to share the expected cost related to investigating, evaluating, communicating, and representing the coalition's interest. Hanover Park and Streamwood equally with the members of the community, Itasca, Wooddale, Roselle, Bensonville, Elgin, Hanover Park, and Schaumburg. The cost for the legal, technical communications consultants to advise and, if necessary, testify before the STB in support of our shared interest will be coordinated by the Village of Itasca. And I would recommend having a not-to-exceed limit of $100,000 at this time. Therefore, I move to approve Resolution 2022-12-R, a resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement forming the Stop CPKC Coalition, sharing costs to represent the common interest of the parties related to the merger of the Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern Railroads.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Ranke. Is there any discussion? I would just jump in first off, recognizing Trustee Ranke. The most recent meeting, several of the mayors that were at that meeting wanted to tell me that you did a great job of representing our cause to fight these people down, so well done. But yeah, this is, it's kind of something that, a necessary evil that we need to try to battle here.
And I would like to ditto the mayor's comments by also thanking you for the efforts you put forth in representing our village at those meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. And, you know, I think that, too, while I have the floor, so to speak, it's important to recognize the work that the staff has put into this, and even when this wasn't necessarily happening, even with the Spalding yard, the amount of time and effort that the village staff has put into railroad issues. I mean, I think a lot of people take it for granted because Bartlett's a railroad town. There's all these railroad towns, but it really does impact the community. Scott's constantly involved with railroad issues. Paul has done a fantastic job, you know, on like the professor and everything. It's really great. A lot of hard work on behalf of the staff, and I thank you for your work.
Good.
Motion.
Any other, yeah, there's already a motion, second. Any other discussion?
What kind of time frame are we looking at with this?
It's, you guys know better than I do. Over the next 2 years, I think, is what they're going to be.
I think so. We just, the coalition just submitted our comments to the STB this week. Last week, the STB came out with the scope of their environmental impact study. So there will be a series of opportunities for us to provide testimony at those through that study and throughout this evaluation period for the merger. We don't have a hard timeline as to when the STB will be making a decision, but we will keep communications with CP and KCS and the STB and through the coalition to continue to oppose the merger as presented to the SBC right now.
Yeah, I think the only dates I've heard of, Trustee Gansey, are at least 2 years of going back and forth here. That sounds correct. 2 years at least of prerequisite inquiries and meetings and it's not just trying to stop the event from happening and this thing combining together, because it would be not very good for any of these villages along the rail line. It's also, railroads have a lot of power, so in anticipation of it actually getting approved, it's trying to figure out the best mitigation, walls and whatever that we can get out of the railroad to mitigate noise and everything like that, so.
Thank you. Is there
Thank
any type of history of whether these type of oppositions succeed?
Unfortunately, there is.
Yeah, there is. It's not a great, I was going to say track record. I'm really sorry about that. Our most recent experience is the purchase of the EJ&E line by CN. And we were part of the coalition to prevent that sale going through. That sale did go through, but CN, because of the pressure that was put on them by the coalition, they came to the table and they took seriously the community's concerns about the impact that merger would have, increased train traffic, and brought real mitigations and funds to the table for those communities, and we were part of that.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Hopkins?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yes.
Swansky?
Yes.
Daney?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
Gunstein?
Yes.
That motion passes. Thank you, Chairman Daney. Next item up, Standing Committee Reports, License and Ordinance Committee, Chairman Gunstein.
Thank you, President Wallace. Item number 1 was covered under consent.
Thank you, Chairman Gunstein. Police and Health Committee, Chairman Swansky.
Thank you, President Wallace. Item E1 was covered under consent.
Thank you, Chairman Swansky. Public Works Committee, Chairman Ranky.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one item, the Oneida Basin Improvement Project Award. The project includes earth excavation and grading, tree and plant removal, clearing of vegetation and trees and various plantings, seeding, and all the other collateral work, such as restoration of the basin. And these improvements are necessary for the required stormwater detention volume associated with the Bittersweet Water Reclamation Facility rehab that we're not able to accommodate on the Bittersweet site. So this is off-site stormwater facility. With that, I move to approve Resolution 2022-13-R, resolution approving of the contract for the Oneida Basin Improvements Agreement between the Village of Bartlett and Nettle Creek Nursery, Inc.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Ranky, seconded by Trustee Daney. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Ranky?
Yes.
Swansky? Daney?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
Gunstein?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's all we have for Public Works tonight.
Thank you, Chairman Ranky. Any new business anyone would like to discuss? Any questions for staff?
Quick question. Because I didn't know this, and I'll pronounce your name right, Mr. Dinges. I wasn't aware that Public Works helped fuel the fire trucks. What exactly did you do?
We have a truck that has a 50-gallon diesel tank on the back, so we were able to bring it back and forth, filling the trucks up as they needed them. So it worked.
Been doing that all day and all night.
No, it actually wasn't it wasn't that often. It wasn't too bad, actually.
Wow.
But they had brought a large truck, but they rather deliver the load and go. They don't want to keep coming back, so it worked out that we could just do the running back and forth, so.
Oh, great work. Thank you very much.
I'm glad you brought that up, Trustee Ranky. It was a horrible tragedy, but we did speak to, what's the name of the business? Access. To the VP there. Obviously sharing our grief and everything else with the loss of that business. We also discussed, so I would like staff to follow up with this, the retribution of what it costs for the water. So I'm not sure who the contact person is there, but the VP of Access said he would absolutely do everything he can to make us whole on the cost of the water for that.
In a follow-up on that, I was going to ask the question, how does that, is a certain amount of it just considered part of, you know, this is the cost of doing business, and we understand there's going to be fires and water is going to be used, and then excess over that is the cost to the business, or how does that come back to the village as far as the cost of the water?
Well, my understanding from the chief, he's not here, is that the fire code prevents them from charging for their services for a structural fire.
Yeah.
That is not something that is possible. We have collected, or are in the process of collecting, all our costs for that. We don't have that restriction on us. We can present a bill to the company to do that. We're also looking at reimbursing ourselves from the TIF and then chasing the insurance and the corporate money. It will be protracted as they're investigating now. So it will, while the state fire marshal makes the declaration of whether or not there was arson or something criminal involved, it is the insurance companies that determine the source and cause of the fire. And so they are in the investigation portion of that. We've been responding to a number of FOIA requests for information, video from the police department that we are spending hours redacting. So they are just in that investigatory process, and we will continue to work with whoever we can to recoup those funds.
Yeah. Do we know the dollar amount? How much water they've used?
10 million gallons.
It was in the 9 to 10 million gallons, which comes out to 100.
I think maybe the water might not even be as much as the overtime with all of the FOIAs and everything else, so, yeah.
I'm sure we can give the insurance company a volume discount on water.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I just want to make sure we kind of get an update on that. All right. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Trustee Daney, seconded by Trustee Gunstein. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Daney?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
Gunstein?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Ranky?
Yeah.
Swansky?
Yes.
We are adjourned.